Throughout United States history, women have often been denied equality from men. Because of this injustice, women have taken part in many social and political movements and have greatly shaped modern American culture. Abigail Adams' pleas to remember the ladies have echoed throughout the course of the development of our nation and continue to ring true today.
For many years, the societal constructs for women revolved around the ideas of the cult of domesticity and the Republican motherhood, in which women were confined to the home in order to support their husbands and educate their children. However, in 1848, feminists led by Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Stanton campaigned for equal voting rights, property rights, and legal rights at the Seneca Falls Convention. At this convention, they wrote the Declaration of Sentiments, declaring the Constitution excluded women when it said all men are created equal, instead of all men and women are created equal.
Due to the excessive use of alcohol and a new religious revival in the Second Great Awakening, the Prohibition movement grew in popularity and was heavily supported by women. Carrie Nation destroyed bars in Kansas to prove a point about the enforcement in the statewide prohibition laws. Furthermore, women played a vital role in temperance, founding the WCTU. With the 18th Amendment, alcohol was no longer legal in the United States.
Women were excluded from the 15th Amendment in the Progressive Era, and respect to women's rights ensued after the Reconstruction Era with the founding of the National American Women's Suffrage Association. In the era where large cities were dominated by political machines, many women took charge of social change. Jane Addams started the Whole House to promote ideas found in the social gospel of helping immigrants. Some key women in this movement were Frances Willard, a woman suffragist, and Carrie A. Nation, who participated in the Anti-Saloon League and Prohibition.
In the year 1920, the role of women in politics drastically changed. Women such as Carrie Chapman Catt, the new leader of the National American Women's Suffrage Association, argued for the broadening of democracy which would empower women. Militant suffragists such as Alice Paul went to the streets with strikes, mass pickets, and parades. Due to a surprising vote by federal politicians, women were given the right to vote in the 19th Amendment due to the courage and persistency of these women.
In 1923, the Equal Rights Amendment was proposed by Alice Paul and Crystal Eastman for equal rights for women. In 1972, the ERA passed Congress and was placed in the nation's attention. However, Phyllis Schlafly was against the ERA and created the Stop ERA movement due to the potential harm the ERA could cause to women. While traditional roles of domesticity remained in the 1920s, participation of women in the labor force remained because of World War I. However, the major change that took place in the 1920s was the moral revolution. Women such as Margaret Sanger argued for the legality of contraceptives, and flappers set themselves apart from the older generation through greater promiscuity in dress and behavior.
World War II sent millions of men into the armed forces, but production in America needed to continue in order to support the war efforts abroad. As a result, women assumed jobs in the labor force, encouraged to support their husbands and the war by the use of propaganda such as Rosie the Riveter. During the war, women earned their own wages and had extra money to spend, signaling a progression in women's rights and a higher standard of living for women. Under the presidency of Richard Nixon, the Burger Court ruled in Roe v. Wade to eliminate many of the restrictions on abortion in states and declared it a violation of women's privacy to deny the women the right to abortion. However, the rise of conservatism in the late 70s and the 1980s produced religious resistance to this new ruling. The conservative religious revival promoted the right to life movement. A battle continued between many conservatives and liberals as to whether or not abortion was a women's right or whether it was immoral.
Women played a key role in the United States history. Women continue to play a key role in history as seen by the presidential candidate of Hillary Clinton in the 2016 election. All in all, women have shaped the civil rights movement in America and are greatly appreciated.